Hi babies, welcome back to my channel. Today I have multiple short stories for you, so get your popcorn ready and let's get it started. First story is called My Encounter with Alien Automobiles as a Sheriff. I never really believed in aliens before my encounter, but it's time I tell you some stuff about myself. I am Officer Rick Smith. I am 37 as of now and I work for the Montgomery Sheriff's Office. I am usually assigned to highway duty like the night of my encounter. I got on the highway at 12 a.m. I cruised from 1 to 2 a.m., occasionally pulling drivers over. After that span of time, I noticed I was alone, which is not unusual, as around this time, most people are sleeping. But this time it felt different. Now, by this time, I was on I-44 when I saw two orbs beside me, on my left and right. I tried to speak. What the hell? When both took, I assumed their forms. The one on the left took form of a 2013 black Toyota Prius, and the other took form of a blue Ford Expedition. Then out of nowhere, both bumped me and I assumed they were trying to take me out. As they sped away, I stupidly decided to give a chase. I eventually caught up to them this time. They took new forms. As they took forms of two of my co-workers' cars. The one on the left had his car, I assume it was a he by the way, as Sergeant Bates' patrol car. And the one on the right took form of Officer Garcia's patrol car. At this point, I had enough. I was ready to wreck one of them. So I decided to spin out one of them on the right. Boy, was that a grave mistake. As I was about to check on the car, a coworker of mine arrived, Officer Gray. I told him the rundown. He agreed that something was up, so we went to check the car. We backed away though, as something began to come out of the car. It was some sort of alien, but its face was disturbed. It even disturbed me to this day. It had pure red eyes and a wide smile showing its razor-sharp teeth. I soon muttered, "Oh shit," under my breath, as I told my coworker to run, but I would soon hear his scream as I looked back. He had a harpoon in his chest. I ran back to the car. While on the drive home, I thought about quitting, but then changed getting revenge on the fact that they killed my coworker. Flash forward a few weeks later, I think I have the perfect night to get my sweet, sweet revenge on whatever the hell those things were. Dan understood he had made a grave mistake. With the nearly empty whiskey bottle in his lap and the pistol pressed against his head, he stood frozen at the edge of his bed. His friends had warned him time and time again not to drive after so many drinks. They called him reckless. They called him lucky. They called him stupid. He knew they were right, but he only lived a few minutes from the bar. It took no time to get home, no matter how foggy his head was or how blurred his vision became. Night after night, he pounded drinks until his words slurred and his legs grew weak. Each time he got behind the wheel, each time he made it home. He understood tonight was different. Tonight, he had made a big mistake. He sat on his bed, seeing the remnants of the whiskey in the bottle, wanting to drink more but finding himself unable to. Dan understood tonight he had ruined his life and the life of another. When he limped his truck in the driveway with one working headlight and a crumpled hood, he decided what he would do before he even made it to the front door. He would take the easy way out instead of seeing the heartache of so many faces. He didn't want to see, he just wanted to go away. He just wanted it to be over. But as he sat on his bed, gun to his head, he found himself unable to close his eyes, unable to hide from what he had done. Dan understood he didn't see the woman in time. She was unlocking her car on the oncoming side of the street, and when he swerved in her direction, she had nowhere to go. He knew when he looked down at her wheezing body that it was too late. There would be no way to save her. He understood when he got back in the truck and left her there to die that his life was over as well. So he went home and got the pistol out of his closet along with a drink to go. He understood it was the end. There was no going back. He didn't understand, however, how she appeared before him, horribly mangled, head cocked as she stared at him a few feet away. He didn't understand why she was moving closer and why he couldn't look away. Each wheezing breath getting closer and closer as her disfigured legs limped her forward. Worst of all, he didn't understand why, when he pulled the trigger, the gun didn't work. The third and final story is called When There's a Well, There's a Way. I rubbed the old coin I bought with me between my fingers while I gazed down the well. As far as I knew, this might be my only chance, and I couldn't afford to squander it. It felt heavy as I flipped the coin. Everything seemed to move much slower than it should. The words leaving my lips sounded like they were spoken by a stranger. I wish Dad was gone instead. The coin clicked against the walls briefly before falling silent. I held my breath, unsure of what to expect. After a long while of waiting, I frowned. Of course, wishes are for little children. I felt foolish for being so disappointed. Just as I was preparing to return the lid to the well, a voice called from within. I can grant your wish. Goosebumps covered my skin at the sound of it. It reminded me of dry leaves rustling and metal scraping together. Alarmed, I dropped the lid and fell backwards in my panic. I scrambled to get away when I continued. I can grant your wish, dear boy, so long as you do something for me. I froze. Cautiously, I crawled back toward the well and pulled myself up to the opening. What do you want? I called down, my voice quivering. My stomach churned nervously all the way back to the house. I felt guilty for my wish. It was spiteful. It was selfish. But I had missed her so much, and Dad had been different ever since Mom left. He was angrier. He was drunker. And nothing seemed to matter to him more than sitting in front of the TV. He was waiting for me the moment I went inside. What were you doing out there? I gulped. I hated his eyes were glazed over like that. Just walking, I stammered. He squinted at me. Were you near the well? My heart pounded. Were you? I nodded. What have I told you? 1,000 times I've told you, never go Near it, he roared at me, backing me into a corner. I'm sorry, I just wanted to make a wish. His expression immediately changed. Did you take the cover off? Yes. Without a moment's hesitation, he burst through the door, spewing profanity. I trailed behind him when he stumbled towards the well. How many times did I say it? How many times? He asked, picking the lid off the ground. And you still couldn't. But his words were cut short by a skeletal hand emerging from the well and grabbing him by the collar. He let out a shriek and tried to trash away before he was pulled in the head first. His horrified scream cut short as he reached the bottom. I stood in shock, completely petrified as a withered corpse climbed out of the well. Even as decomposed as she was, I could still recognize my mother. Thank you, dearest, she rasped, taking my hand in her fleshless grip. We can go home now. Thank you for listening to my 3 short stories. If you want to read these stories yourself, the links are in the description box. Please give this video a like, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye.